still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? If I find my way home, yeah. If I find my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? Wouldn't it be crazy? Would you still amaze me? If I find my way home, yeah.
This is the move for those who.
What we do here is go back.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
To see what's behind these closed doors, but I promise you that I'll always be
What's up, everybody? Sorry about that. I absolutely love starting the stream on technical difficulty. So much damn fun. Sorry about that. But the good thing is we got it figured out. And a lot of you are already chatting, which is super to see. Thank you for that. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. We're going to do some cool stuff again tonight. We're continuing on with our 97-part series about detailing the master grade Jesta. So we're going to continue with that. Man, lots of people in the chat right now. All the usual suspects: Gamer Bud, Biggie Pauls, Alex Andrews, Juan, hello, Jay Lynch, thank you. Robert LaFlash is over on Facebook. Kurt Hill is over there, but he's probably working. I hope not. I hope he can watch. Thank you for tuning in again over there, Kurt. Whew, man, what a day. What a day. So I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you guys are having an equally good evening, and switch that in reverse if you're on the other side of the world over there in beautiful Australia or wherever that may be. So we're going to get started. I'm going to continue what I started last night and show you some cool books. Well, a book, because I forget who it was last night. Asked a question about burnout. What happens when you get burnout, you know, in modeling? I kind of explained a few different things to gain inspiration. Books, really awesome books was one of those things. So I've got a ton of books in my stash, collection, what have you. And I figured I'd share some with you guys. And hopefully this will give you some awesome inspiration, get you out of that burnout stage if you happen to be suffering from it, and get you some inspiration, some good ideas that you can put into practical terms in your next project. What do you say? I think it sounds like fun. I think you guys might enjoy it. I know I enjoy it. I love looking at these books, man, and I got a good one for you tonight. Oh, look at that. My mom is in the Facebook chat. Imagine that. Hi, Mom. It's her birthday tomorrow, everybody. Wish her a happy birthday if you would. Everybody, come on. Just wish my mom, Mary Watson. She's over on Facebook. Give her a happy birthday. Just comment, happy birthday, Tim's mom, something like that. Make her feel special, please. That would be amazing for me. So thanks for joining, Mom. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Let's see what's going on in the chat right quick. Let's see. Scrolling down. Oh, look at that. Robert already said, happy birthday, Tim's mom. That's awesome. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that, brother. Bailey over on YouTube said, happy birthday, Mary. Gamer Bud, happy birthday, Mecha Mama. There you go. That's cool. Thank you, guys. Let's see. Alex Andrews woke up in time for the stream, luckily. Awesome. Juan was, let's see. Dope intro. Dude, I like my intro. I thought it was pretty cool, so thank you for that. Juan says, happy birthday, all the best. Alex Andrews says, happy birthday, Tim's mom. So there you go, Mom. Everybody wishes you a happy birthday. So it's tomorrow, but we're doing the stream right now. So that's cool. That's awesome, guys. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. What we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the two camera, and I'm going to show you this book that we have here. So let me switch over to that real quick. Boom. This, guys, is a really, really awesome book. This is Border Break Artworks. Now, if you're not familiar with what Border Break is, from my understanding, and I could be wrong, it's a game that involves giant robots, which we're all fans of. But this book in particular is really amazing when it comes to mechanical detail. And you guys know me, I'm all about mechanical detail and how things work and move and operate within, tolerances and things of that nature. Excuse me. Alex Andrews says, of course the stream starts and the foot assassin appears, the cat. That's funny, the foot assassin. I like that. That's good. But this book, man, has some of the finest mechanical detail that I've ever seen at this point. Oh, and hey, you know what? Just real quick, you guys might have noticed the shirt that I'm wearing. This is the 90s looking Gundam logo that I created, based off of the old school starter jacket hats of the 90s and stuff. If you guys are old enough to know what that looks like, then you guys know this logo here. This is available on shirts and on hats too, which are super dope. Go and get them in the Child of Mecha store. And as well, any tools that you see me working with tonight, and this book, by the way, you can find on the Amazon link underneath the description on Facebook and YouTube right now, and then later on Twitch after the stream. So I have sourced a ton of tools. I've sourced a lot of books for you guys, so you don't have to go hunting for them. Some you may not even known existed, like this one. You can get this one on Amazon right now on Prime for a pretty good price. So boom, right here. Let's take you through this, and I'll show you some of my favorite parts because, man, whew, this is a winner. All right, so let's dig in. I mean, look at this, just the inside cover alone. I mean, look at that. It's hard to see. It's a little bit blown out, but man, just all the mechanical detail, the chains and just rivets and screws and all that. Just the panels, it's just freaking beautiful. Here are some of the mech drawings. Now, I've went through this and I've basically bookmarked, flagged some of my favorite pages. And on here, I mean, look at this. There's a bunch of different head designs that you can try to emulate or maybe modify an existing head that comes with maybe like a GM or, you know, or a Zaku or maybe a Graze or something like that. You can modify it to look like this. This would be freaking cool on something like that. And they do sell border break models as well, so you can get those at places like HLJ and Hobby Search, places like that. You know, Japanese vendors. They're usually there. They've been around for a few years, so they may not necessarily be the easiest to find, but man, they are some really good looking kits. I think, I could be wrong, I think they might be by Hasegawa, maybe Kotobukiya. Somebody correct me, I don't know. Anyway, these are great books. This is a great series, and it's just all around just mecha robot goodness. So let's dig in. These are obviously some of the different mechs that you can pilot in the game. This is the Saber. Man, he just looks rad. I mean, look at that. That's awesome. Let's keep going here. Just okay. So this is cool. So again, you know, different types of heads, and down here you can see body variations. So 1, 2, 3 types of body variations with different part attachments and things. You know, it'll show you where some of the latches are, where the rivets are located on this. You can translate this over to your model and try to replicate some of this detail. And this is a great book for reference and things as well. Kotobukiya, thank you, Bailey. Thank you for looking that up for me, buddy. I really appreciate that. Like, look at this. These are all booster variations. Just a bunch of them, you know, that you can take a look at, try to replicate, maybe modify something, and just go crazy with the detail. Super, super interesting stuff, but I still haven't gotten to the good stuff just yet. Again, these are all the mechs that, you know, you have to choose from in this. And there's just a ton of them, and they're all just completely varied in a lot of different ways. You know, some of them have legs, some of them have boosters. I mean, this one has tank treads, you know, for legs and stuff. And I mean, look at these heads. These are cool, man. This almost looks like an O, you know, like the you know, the O head, the, you know, the master grade or the high grade. This is awesome because it's got this big kind of donut thing in the back, almost like looking like a croissant or something, but more mechanical. A mecha croissant might look good on a t-shirt. But that, you know, this is just super cool. You know, you got body variations, shoulder and arm variations, leg designs, different things, you know, to basically customize your mech in this game. And man, just really, really awesome. Okay, so here we go. Here's the good stuff. The weapons. So, the weapons in this book are just really nice. Really well designed. And obviously, this page is flagged. I mean, look at some of these things. These are just handheld. These are kind of light infantry, if you will, style guns, maybe one-handed. Different variations on that down here. You know, you've got some crazy looking railgun type of weapons here, and then, you know, different variations down here. Just really super cool. Just, you know, really love the variety of things. You know, here, I mean, just look at these. These are so nicely detailed. You can replicate this on existing maybe scrap weapons, if you maybe happen to scrap a model or ruin it, or hell, maybe even just buy it for kit bashing purposes. You can take the weapon, modify it, use it on another project, and it would look dope. So these are some of the types of things that you can do, and this is the inspiration that I personally draw from. Just really, really good stuff. Let's keep going. Here we go. Look at these swords and stuff. Look at these different style, weird looking swords, almost like a, you know, like that giant ashtray looking sword and things. Almost like Cloud's sword from Final Fantasy. Bailey says, and you could literally trace those out and make them out of styrene and rod. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. You can scan these in, blow them up to whatever size you want, and then print that out and use that as a template. Absolutely. The possibilities, just endless. So here, I mean, look at these. Look at all these different, you know, sword kind of variations. Some move. Like this one here, I mean, you've got arrows pointing down and into the direction where the blade might fold in and down. Just, I mean, just really, really cool stuff. And it's funny, it gives you the mech designer information and comments on here as well. So that's pretty cool insight to kind of what their thought process is. These are, they call these assault spears, and these are assault blitzers is what they call them. They look like chainsaw swords to me. I don't know, I might be crazy. But one interesting little note that I saw, check this out. I'm going to zoom in for you guys so you can get a little bit of a better look at this. But look at that right there. Right there. In that little red box. Now you tell me that that doesn't look like the Sasabi axe, and if you say that's not, then I would tell you you're crazy right to your face, because that looks exactly like the Sasabi axe that it comes with, you know, with the effect parts and stuff like that. So you can see where they kind of get some of their own inspiration from for, you know, making these parts. And if you kind of point down, you know, basically it went into, I guess, designing this handle piece there as well. So really, really cool stuff. Let's put that right there so we don't lose the page. Let's get you zoomed back out so you can get a better look at this book here, because this is a good one. And over here, these are really cool, just mechanical looking components. I mean, you guys can see that you can put these on shoulders or on sides of your lower legs or something like that. Maybe on a backpack would be really cool. And it just shows you some really nice, juicy detail that you guys can try to replicate, or maybe kit bash or something like that. Just, really cool ideas to get from this thing. Here's some more kind of heavier duty rifles and things, and this is really cool. This page right here actually shows you different types of magazines. So you have round ones, you have box style ones, you have more conical ones, you have your normal kind of banana clip looking type of magazine, and then up here even more. You've got different sizes of magazines here. You've got a drum and another style box. You've got your straight magazine. Dude, it's just really, really cool stuff. Gatling gun examples and variations and things. These are super wicked because these are like laser cannons or something. I don't know, use your imagination. Some more interesting weaponry over here. Just cool stuff to put along with your model. Here are bazookas, handheld weapons and things, convertible weapon styles, all that kind of stuff. Here are some launchers and missile pods and who knows what else these things can be converted into. Just really awesome stuff. You got some howitzer variations. I mean, look at this stuff. You could easily take the big cannon from a ground Gundam and just modify it to look like this. Hell, I mean, you could probably even, if you wanted to, scratch build this out of styrene tubes and some plate and things like that, and you can come up with a really cool weapon for your next project. So really awesome stuff in this book, guys. I so highly recommend it. Beyond the weapons, you got sniper rifles, and you've got crazy weird looking sniper rifles on this side. Just a treasure trove of inspiration in this book. It's worth its weight in gold, this one. This is actually one of my favorites. And here, look at this. I mean, you've got, this page is called Aiming Compensators. So what it says is it's a sniper assist device. So for those of you working on maybe the GM Sniper 2, this would be cool to put on the side of its head or something like that to augment what's already there. Maybe if you're turning a normal GM or a Zaku into a sniper type, you could maybe try and replicate something like on this page for your project. Just really just awesome stuff. And I look at it many times, and every single time I look at it, man, I just get inspired by these things, and it's just so cool. And you can get just design cues even. Here's just like, like arms and how it holds weapons and things like that. Just mechanical design cues, just all over the place. So good stuff. And then it gets into like vehicles and support style units. Not as much there, honestly, to get inspired, but some of this stuff is really cool. And then obviously it goes into character designs, and these are somewhat interesting. I mean, it doesn't really do much for me because I'm not too into character design and stuff, but if you are into that, then this might be amazing for you. Really cool stuff. It shows kind of uniforms and casual attire, dress attire. Here's concept art for the stage design and things like that, the environments and all. Just really amazing book, guys. So again, this one right here, this is called Border Break Artworks. And like I said, this is available on Amazon right now. If you hit up the Amazon link in the description on Facebook and YouTube right now, later on Twitch, you'll find this under the book ideas list that I have on that. So definitely a good buy. There's some other ones on there too. Those are also good buys. We'll keep going through these because it seems like you guys are into this and I'm into this. So I love talking about these things. But we're going to put this aside for right now. and we are going to get started doing some modeling. But first, let's check in with the chat. Let's see what everybody's up to. Let's go to Facebook first and make sure that that's looking pretty good. Looks like Adam Ryan is on there from USAGundamStore.com. Thank you for watching, Adam. Appreciate it. Looks like Angelo is on there from Mech Designs. Check him out on Facebook. Very talented, and he's doing that amazing book right now, by the way. So very cool. Those guys are in the chat over there. Let's swing over and see what's going on in YouTube land, because those guys are going nuts right now. Let's see. Endless Inferno's in there. Looks like Bailey and Alex Andrews and Gamer Bud, they're all in there. Good stuff. They're just chatting with one another. That's cool to see, man. I love that. All right, good stuff. Good stuff overall. Jay Lynch, I see you, man. When it comes to inspiration, I'm using the Master Archive books. Man, there is not many books that are better than the Master Archive books. And I have a few of them, which I'll show in later streams, but you are absolutely 100% correct. Funny enough, the artwork that I'm working off of for my GM Spartan actually comes from the GM Master Archive book. This little guy right here. Now, I did some Photoshop work, took out some of the kind of surrounding information, and just, you know, basically made it black and white so it's easier for me to look at the panels and the doohickeys and details and all that. And I just printed this out, and I have it hanging over here behind one of the cameras. And so I can reference this all the time when I'm working on the GM Spartan. So, man, great recommendation there. Great recommendation. Lee Gallup, hello, sir. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Alex Andrews, this is for Sparta. Exactly. Exactly. Our arrows will blot out the sun, then I will fight in the shade. I love that line. It gets me amped. That was like the biggest, just like, oh, back to that dude. I was one of the best scenes in that movie. But I digress. We're getting off topic. Let's get to modeling here, guys. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the Jesta leg here. So what I figure I'm going to do tonight, got this back thruster cowling piece, got the little mud flap done, the feet are done, the ankles are fairly done. I might add a little flair to that. These pieces are pretty much where I want them to be. The front part, though, is looking a bit sparse. So I think what I'm going to do tonight is work on the knee and start getting that going. So what we need to do first is we need to, excuse me, detach the armor from this piece very gingerly, so not to scratch some of the other pieces. And hopefully that will pop off and be kind to us. Almost dropped it. And let's do the same thing for the other side here. We're going to need the chisel blade to get under this and really get some leverage on it. There we go. Now she's talking our language. There we go. Right off there, and now this, we just wiggle it, and it will maybe start to come off for us. Maybe not, but we're gonna pull it off no matter what. Yeah. You know what? Here, let's do this. Let's get under this and get some leverage. This piece is always a pain in the butt, guys. Oh, there she goes. There we have it. It finally surrendered. So I am going to pull this piece off here too. Now, the other night on one of the previous streams, we outlined, scribed this little raised panel that is on the kind of the front cuff of this, where I might do some additional things because this ties in just kind of like this. And it almost transitions down. So we might do something a little bit on this piece as a transition a little bit later. Let's see, Alex Andrews, Tim, does the Jesta have a swivel at the top of the leg, or is it like the new Jagan where there isn't one? No, this does swivel. Let me zoom in and I will show you the mechanism behind it. So we're going to get you about 85 millimeters. That's looking good there. And here's the mechanism. So obviously this goes up and down like this. It rotates vertically, but then it does bend back and forth horizontally. Not much, because obviously there's limitations in movement due to the leg armor itself, but it does definitely have some movement horizontally there. So, yeah, this is actually just a super nice model structurally. If they were to maybe make or structure their future models off of the architecture of this, I would not be complaining. Because, guys, if you've not seen the Jesta and how flexible it is, look at this. Just real quick. Look at that. Look at how much it can bend and point its toe. I mean, that's pretty nice right there. Let me zoom out so you guys can get a better indication of what it looks like. Because, yeah, I mean, look at that. Like a ballerina almost. Jesta can dance, dog. The Jesta can dance. So, really nice, nicely designed model. One of my favorites, by the way. Just structurally, this thing is superb. Just absolutely superb. That's why I bought two. Had to. One I got at a good price, the one I got at even a better price, so why not? Let's check in over on Facebook, see what's going on over there, because we still don't have a lot working through the chat on Facebook, so I have to check in manually, so I apologize for that. Sean Rowan is out there. Where do you recommend to find good Gundam line art to help with the modding planning? Great question. Google Images would be the first place that I would recommend, and if you can't find anything on there, books like Master Archives and things, those are really, really awesome. That's what I like to, take a look at and stuff like that. Robert LaFlash says, just went through the books you've listed and picked up about 6 of them. You madman. Thank you for that, though, because that does definitely go to help out the channel. And Robert, I hope you got my email. Man, big ups to you. Big shout out to Robert LaFlash. He knows why. And just, man, super supportive of Child of Mecha. And honestly, I could not be more humbled. So thank you, sir. I really, really do appreciate that. And if you need anything, if you need questions asked, do drop me a line anytime. I will be there to help you out. So thank you again, Robert. That's awesome. Let's see. Good stuff there. Let's switch back and let's see what's going on there. Doesn't matter. Tell us. Oh, Bailey. Hey, man, doesn't matter. Tell us. I'm always for more options for books. Dude, I love books, man. Books. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how I think for a few seconds. Can't say philosophizing or philosophy or anything to save my life because I can't pronounce things. In terms of books, you can find... Did y'all hear that? That was thunder. I'm in my basement. I heard thunder out there, you guys. If this gets cut off in midstream, you'll know why. I might be dead. Hopefully not. But anyway, having something tangible in your hands it for me is always more beneficial than looking at it on the computer or something, even if it's in printout form. If you even just print out you know, like a picture or something like that, scan it, or you know, print it out in a PDF, something like that, that's always more beneficial, because you can look and really kind of see and get really close to things where you may not be able to do that on the computer screen. Now, you may be able to zoom in digitally, but you lose clarity when it comes to you know, looking on the computer. So if you can buy the book or buy the resource and have something tangible in front of you, that's just my personal recommendation for you guys. You may feel differently, and that's cool. Everybody does their own thing, but for me, nothing beats a good book, man. Nothing beats a good book to look at. So that's Tim's thoughts for the night. I might have more later, so stay tuned. So for this knee, let's get you zoomed in so you can see what I'm talking about here. We're going to zip it all the way in. So let's see if we can catch the light. Yep, right there. Okay, so you can see on this, the top of the knee, it has these two weird little indents, and that was molded in by Bandai. That's normal. I don't like the look of it because it just doesn't make any sense, you know, structurally. What happened to the focus here? Come on, camera, work with me. There we go. Now you popped in. But it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So I'm going to fill that in and maybe do something over top here. Maybe do some strapping detail over this corner or something like that. If you guys don't know what I mean by strapping detail, you should probably either, one, go watch the Simple Details class that Justinius Builds and I did at the Gundam Kitchen. That's on YouTube and Twitch as well. I explain strapping in complete detail. Or you can also, if you just like to read and look at pictures, you can hit up childofmecha.com and read the strapping tutorial that I wrote on there many moons ago. So strapping detail is just kind of a detail that I've come up with. And, you know, I'd probably be wrong if I said I came up with it, because I really got it from a modeler that was very big in Hobby Japan's back in the early 2000s. His name is Motu Asumi. So if you guys go and maybe Google his name, Mootoosumi, and chances are I'm butchering his name because I can't pronounce it. But if you look him up, you'll see models that could have been built by me. Very nice mechanical details, strapping details, things of that nature. Really, really cool stuff. I really always loved seeing his works, and man, they're just incredible stuff. My mom is still in the chat, so she's digging this. She says, told you there's bad thunderstorms coming. Less than 20 miles away. We're in a severe thunderstorm warning area. Ah, shit, guys. Not good for a stream being in a severe thunderstorm area. Sounds pretty nasty outside, but hopefully we don't lose power. If we do, I apologize. But we're going to keep rolling here for you guys, because I think you guys are hopefully enjoying my streams. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to fill these in. So what we need to start with first is some appropriate plastic strip to fit this. Now, what I did, this is more than a 1/4 millimeter tall, so a 1/4 millimeter will not fill this appropriately. So we're going to need to go 1/2 millimeter with this. The problem with that is that 1/2 millimeter is too tall for it, so we're going to have to sand that down after the fact and kind of take it from there. Now, that's going to be too large, so we might need to pull out our strip plastic stash here and see if we have maybe 2 millimeter, 3.2 millimeter. Here's a 2 millimeter right on top. How about that? What's that for luck, you know? Let's see. And here we go. Let's see if 2mm does the trick. That, I think, is going to be really nice. We're going to have to bevel that corner. Oh, there we go. That corner edge, just to make it fit right here in this inside corner. But I think that's going to do the trick for us. So we're going to cut a couple pieces here, and we're just going to kind of fit that in. And just like that, there's 2 little pieces. I'm going to put this strip off to the side. We're going to work with that maybe later. Now, the problem that we run into is, to me, extra thin. The lights just flickered, guys. Good thing I have a battery backup on this rig, because if not, that would have been lights out for the stream anyway. So if everything goes kaput, I'm warning you now. Hopefully it doesn't. But the problem that you run into with pieces this small here is that we could use Tamiya extra thin. My dilemma is that I want to work with this quickly. I don't want to have it, cure for, 4 or 5 hours. Camera's not in focus. It's not? Let me check. Yeah, it looks in focus to me. I don't know. Anyway, it might go whoop, 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 whoop like that when my hand goes underneath of it, and then back to focus. So I'm zoomed in big time right now. It's at 155mm zoom, so that's somewhat expected. So it'll catch it back up with me. I try to work a little fast with things. So I don't want to wait for the Tamiya extra thin to. I don't want to wait for that to cure and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the next best thing, which is super glue. The Loctite that I really like to use. This is Ultra Liquid Control. This is my favorite super glue right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab these little guys. I'm going to zoom back out so you can kind of see this process. Maybe take it to 50mm zoom here. There, it looks good. And we're just going to put just a little bit of drop of super glue on these dents. And you know what? I forgot. We need to just slightly bevel this corner. So I'm just going to cut just the corner off, just a hair. You're not going to be able to see this once we're completely done with it, because that super glue will act as a filler as well. So it's actually a good all-around type of adhesive. So yep, there we go. Let's see. We're going to pop that right in there, and that looks to be a perfect fit. Press that down, make sure it's nice, nice and stuck in there. And that looks pretty good. Now, as you can see, there's some overhang, which we're going to have to trim off. That's normal. I want that. I want that overhang, because if you try to cut a piece that is the exact size to it, you're not going to have much room to actually grip the piece of plastic with your tweezers and position it correctly. And then if you try to place it with your fingers will get super glue on them, you'll get stuck to the model, and that'll be just a lot of sadness after that. So cut it a little big and then trim. That's going to give you the nicest edges around there, the cleanest edges as well too, because you can just sand those down super nicely and kind of go from there. So we're going to do the same thing to the opposite side, and let's grab that with my tweezers. There's that, and we're going to do a drop of super glue as I drop the super glue on the table here, and just touch that there. So we're good, and I beveled this corner again, so we're going to shove that right in that little gap, and we're going to get that positioned quickly, because this glue is not necessarily instant, but it is quick curing. So that looks nice as well. Cool. And so there you go. Now we've got some overhang. We're going to trim that off in just a moment or two, but let's check in with the chat first and see what you guys are doing. Jay Lynch says, yeah, I totally agree. I'd love to have them as well. Let's see. George Jackson is over there on Facebook. Hello, George. Thank you for watching, sir. Appreciate it. Let's see. What else? Like we said yesterday, I have the PDF of the scratch build manual. Still want the actual book. That's from Bailey over there on YouTube. Yeah, dude. If you can get it, man, it's good. Alex says, too bad the Jesta Cannon is pricey. Pricey Bandai. P Bandai. That's pretty good. I like that. Pricey Bandai. I might have to start using that. What's the P stand for? Pricey. Oh, man. Might be another good shirt idea. Killing me right now. Man, you're killing me. But it is funny. All right, so let's trim these pieces a bit. Tamiya nippers. I really like these. And let's catch this over here. And these are my nippers of choice, man. I've had these for years, and you know, I don't put these through abuse. I will use these to you know, trim the pieces down, cut very fine pieces of plastic. Nothing crazy, nothing like, you know, the sprue itself. I'll use something like these Zurons for heavy duty use. These are really quite nice. These are more kind of like my sledgehammer, if you will. I'll use these when it comes to you know, cutting the actual sprue, the parts off the sprue, but then I'll go in with these and trim that down flush with the model. And then what I'll do is I'll either use this little guy, this little NT cutter, or my other favorite, my Olfa design knife. I'll use either one of these to really finely trim those nubs off, and that works really well for me. You may want to use sandpaper. I do sometimes, but I find that if I can trim it down with the knife, it's usually really quite nice. Alex Andrews is asking a question over there on YouTube. He says, what do you think of the GM Guard type high grade coming out soon? Saw that Pricey Bandai joke in the stream yesterday. Man, I didn't see it, so that's cool. I do like that. The Guard type, I know that they have several MSV models of GM coming out. They've got the kind of police looking one with the big shield. They've got the weird one with kind of the, you know, PUBG face mask, welder's mask looking thing, and that's like kind of a cream and purple looking mech. And I think they might have another one, but I think they're all really cool looking. Maybe not the purple and cream one with the welder's mask, but you know, they're old MSV models, man. They're old designs, so they're kind of weird and they're a bit eccentric and wacky. But I think it's cool that they're making kits out of those. Man, Kaz628, thank you for the follow over there on Twitch. I really appreciate that, and thank you for watching. That's awesome. But back to the piece. So we're going to use our Tamiya sharp nippers, and we're just going to trim it down, and we're going to leave still a little bit of overhang, not too much, just enough for us to finally trim that back. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side here, just real quick, right there, and we're going to try our best to take off some of the corner as well, because this piece is naturally beveled straight out of the box. So we're going to do that. So that looks pretty good. Now, for what I have planned, these are mostly going to be under another piece of plastic, so I'm not going to worry too much about you know, what this surface looks like. I do want to try to get them as nice as possible. But again, this is not a competition piece for me, so my attention to detail, my level of quality that I'm looking for may not necessarily be as high as if I was building for maybe GBWC or something like that. So keep that in mind too. Let's see here. Got a couple new people. 01 Shield over on YouTube. Thank you for watching. He says, let's see, go Sprue Cutter, have owned it for 3 years, and I sharpen it a little every now and then. That's a good call. I've not sharpened the Tamiyas. I just really haven't had the need to, but that's awesome if you can do it. That's really cool. Bailey says, the form factor of those new GMs is closest to the Master Grade Gundam Origin that we get in the high grade, though. Yeah, those are definitely high grade 144s, and I think they're kind of cool. They're interesting. Sam the Shrine Fox says hello on YouTube. Hello. 01 Shield says again, then Gundam Planet or Mr. Nipper for nub removal. Yeah, Gundam Planet actually does make quite a good little nipper from what I've heard. GamerBud says, so let's say I'm working on the front skirt piece. I want to add 2 layers of plow plate, the second piece smaller in dimensions to increase the thickness of the skirt. To be clear. Then he says, now I want to create an angled edge connecting the first and second plow plate piece. Would I putty that or use another plow plate piece, say that 3 times fast, and sand it to make an angled edge? Excellent question, sir. What you're talking about is a beveled edge, I actually wrote up a tutorial on my Facebook page using epoxy putty to get a nice beveled edge, a nice sharp beveled edge. So definitely check that out. But in the meantime, because I don't want you to go checking that out right now, I want you to keep your eye on the stream and have fun and interact with us. It depends on the thickness of the plastic that you're putting down. Now, if it's, say, like 1 millimeter or 0.5 millimeter or something like that in difference, then what I would do personally is pre-bevel that top piece. Pre-bevel that with maybe like a hobby knife or something like that. Junk Guild 1 is a new subscriber on YouTube. Thank you, Junk Guild 1. I appreciate that. That's awesome of you. Thank you for tuning in as well. But I would pre-bevel that piece before you lay it down. And then that way you can position it and get it situated exactly where you want it. It's already beveled. Then you don't have to worry about marring the surface of the piece underneath of it. So that's what I would personally do. I've done that plenty of times, and it does work wonders. Jacob Lou, again over on the YouTubes, thank you for that subscribe. Thank you for watching, sir. Appreciate that. So pre-bevel. Always pre-bevel. If it's like 1 millimeter, 0.5 millimeter, something like that. If you are feeling ambitious now, what you could do is lay that piece of plastic sheet down, and then very, very carefully, I might add, is, wow, Aya Allen, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Aya, maybe? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Thank you for the subscribe on YouTube. That's awesome of you. Thank you for watching as well. But if you're feeling ambitious, you could lay that straight angled piece down and then try to bevel it with a very sharp hobby blade. I actually do that all the time, but I'm very comfortable with it, so I don't know if I would necessarily suggest it for your first time. But you know, maybe practice on a scrap piece and see how your dexterity is with, you know, kind of doing a freehand bevel like that. It might work, it might not. So practice before you commit to a final piece. So those are some options. Kaz628 over there on Twitch says, my GP nipper. Wow, George Jackson, man, you guys are killing it. You're machine gunning the subscribes. I love it. George Jackson, subscriber over there on YouTube. Thank you, George. I appreciate that. And thank you for your support. As always, you've been very supportive through the years, so I do really appreciate that, buddy. Kaz628 says, my GP nippers have lasted pretty well for the last 2 years for sure. Yeah, I think they're really, you know, quality looking nippers. I've never tried them myself simply because I have the Tamiya's. But from everybody I've heard, they are kind of God level, you know, kind of quality. But to me, a level durability, which is like kind of insane. So they might very well be the nippers that you would maybe want to get. I know they sell them on Gun and Planet website, of course, but they also sell them on Amazon. Imagine that, and on Prime last time I checked too. So and they're cheaper than God Hands from what I remember. I think maybe $35-$40 US, maybe. I'm guessing, but check them out. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Gamer Bud, he says, "I'm here." Sits, crosses legs, on and places hand on his chin, listening. Hey man, don't forget. Alex Andrews says, "Don't forget the popcorn, notepad, and pen." That's a good one. I love that. As I'm drawing with this kit, I'm already thinking of ideas wanting to add to the kit. That's awesome, dude. And Gamer Bud, he's an artist, and I always have pen and paper, so there we go. That's cool too. Let's check in with Facebook, see what those folks are doing over there. Man, not too much right now. Hopefully the chat is still working over there. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, okay, cool. So good thing that the Facebook chat is still running, because that's been a headache since I've started this, man. I don't know what's going on with Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, get off your ass and fix your chat, man. What else do you got better to do? Worry about fake news? Come on. Come on. That's a joke, everybody. Don't get crazy on me. Don't get crazy. It's just a joke. But yeah, so I've been struggling with the Facebook chat. It's been wonky and weird and stuff like that. So what are you going to do? So let's trim this down. These pieces have had plenty of time to cure the super glue and everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our NT cutter, this little knife. Oh no, Alex, no shots fired. I'm just joking. I'm a joking type of individual. Just having fun. And man, it's the Zuck. Man, me and the Zuck are cool, man. He's a good friend of mine from way back. We went to Harvard together. So we're going to use the knife, and we're going to rest it on the top of this piece. Now let me pull down, and actually let me zoom in here so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. We're going to get you at about 85mm zoom, and I think that should be good to show you what we're doing here. There's William Wilms. Thank you, sir. Thank you for watching. He says fake news is life. Maybe. It's fun sometimes, but I don't know if it's life, dude. I don't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to rest the blade. We're going to use this top of the piece kind of as a guide, and we're just going to very kind of meat slicer type of action, just kind of pull our knife in a slicing motion. We're going to push and move it vertically, so almost in a diagonal type of direction. So kind of like this, and we're just going to shave off that piece until it's nice and flush with the top part of this part here. And it does take a steady hand, so keep that in mind. But once you do, there will be little to no gap. There will be little to no seam. You'll have the perfect matching bevel to the piece that that we have now, and you'll be in good shape. So we're going to do that on all four sides here. Just trim off just little itty bitty minute shavings here, guys. We're going to get that nice and flat. We're going to come back with a sander or maybe a file and really kind of get that in there. Alex Andrews says, wouldn't you use your goggles to be super precise? Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I just haven't put them on yet because I don't really need to kind of really get in tight to take a look at this type of stuff. Dark Kaiser 99 is over there on Twitch. Thank you for tuning in. That's awesome. Man, everybody wants to see the Optivisor. Okay, fine. I will give you guys what you want. Fine. Everybody's giving me a hard time about this. So, okay, here are my eyes. Yeah, y'all happy now? Look like Cyclops from the frickin' X-Men. Laser beams will start shooting out of my frickin' eyes. God, I hope not. That would be terrible to deal with. Let's get this other piece trimmed. Now, I will admit that this probably does make it easier. But I've done this type of thing for so long. It's really not all that difficult right now. All right. So that's two sides, the front and the side. Now there's a beveled edge right here that's actually molded into the plastic. You guys can see that right there as the light catches it. You can see the contrast difference between the top and the side. That's the bevel that was molded into that already. Oh, look at that. Michael Gilchrist finally managed to see a live stream while it's live. Can't seem to donate bits in Twitch though. Oh man, that sucks. But dude, he just gave me $5. Thank you, man. That's awesome of you. Shout out to Michael Gilchrist, man. Good dude. He donated when we had the class as well. So that's awesome. That's a 2-time donation. Dude, you're amazing. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gamer Buds, look at those goggles. Nerd! Like from, Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. Maybe some of you guys aren't old enough to remember that, but I am, and I thought it was funny. So what we're going to do for this is we're going to do kind of the same thing for this beveled piece. And we're just going to go down and just trim that ever so carefully. Just match that up with the bevel. And there she is. She's looking good. Now that's one completely trimmed and beveled piece compared to the other side. Gamer Bud says, yes, Ogre. I loved Ogre, man. He was the funniest part of that whole movie. Just a big, dumb jock. Just a big dumb animal. Wait, and you know what? How in the hell did Ogre get into college anyway? I know he was on the football team and everything, but he wasn't that smart to begin with. How can he play football? Football is you need some brains to play football. I don't know if you guys have ever played football, organized football or anything, but I have, I did back in high school. I dabbled in it. I wasn't that good. I'll be the first one to admit it. I rode the bench. But, man, to know the plays and to remember your assignments and things of where to go and what to do and position and all that stuff, man, you need some smarts. You need something up here. It's not just the ball. It's not that. It's not that. So I wonder how Ogre got into college. I just don't know. Full scholarship on football, probably. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, now you got to watch the movie. Me too. So anyway, I digress. We talked about Ogre. That's enough. So we're going to continue beveling and just trimming this piece. Now the super glue on this side is spilled over just a little bit, but that's not a big deal. It's actually a good thing, because like I said, the super glue kind of backfills any of the gaps and things of that nature, and kind of acts as almost like a putty, almost. So it's really, really very useful as an adhesive for these little bitty parts. So I highly recommend using that. And maybe rich, powerful parents. Yeah, dude. I know, right? Oh, Alex Andrews. He's okay. So he's saying, do you mean American football? Also known as rugby in the UK. Yeah, American football, dude. Helmets, the whole nine. I should probably have clarified that, seeing that we're the only country in the freaking world that doesn't that calls football soccer. So yes, American football. And I do love rugby, though. Don't get it twisted. If I could have played rugby, I would have gone all out and I would have played rugby until my ears fell off. Let's put it that way. That is an awesome sport. No pads, hard hitting, running, and with the ball, and just super cool, man. Super cool. Like Australian rules football too. That's a cool one. I used to watch that back in the day when it used to be on like ESPN2 and stuff like that, before there were like 40 channels of ESPN, before the Ocho. You guys know what I'm talking about. Come on, you know the Ocho. You know that reference. Come on. But we're going to trim off this little side here. That's looking really quite nice. And then again, we're going to trim the bevel on this thing as well. Just a smooth kind of slicing motion. Nothing crazy. You don't want to push too hard. If you're pushing too hard and you're struggling to get the knife through the plastic, chances are your blade is dull. So at that point, it's time to change the blade out, guys. So keep that in mind. That's actually really important because you don't want to be cutting, you know, plastic and stuff like that with a dull blade, because that blade could slip on you. You could get cut. You could nick your model and stuff like that. A lot of things could go bad. So make sure you're using a nice sharp blade, and your model will thank you for it. So Alex Andrews says, if you ever visit Gundam UK, maybe you should versus each other in a game of rugby. I love Simon to death, but I would kill that boy in rugby, man. I love that dude. I love that dude. Don't tell him I said that, okay? That, man, you guys are going to get me in trouble now. Damn it. I fell for it. You got me. Simon, if you're watching this, I love you, brother. You would probably kill me in rugby or whatever. All right, so what we're going to do, since the front two pieces are raised a bit over the edge, let's get that back down so the camera can focus properly, because the field of focus is very short at this kind of zoom level. But these pieces are raised just a little bit, and you would definitely be able to see them if you you know, primed this and painted it, and it would just look really ugly and not really good at all. Bailey says, oh, there's Jacob Lou from on YouTube. He says, I use Pledge Floor Care on my model kit as a clear gloss coat before decal, but my decal still gets hazy. Do you have any experience with this? The decal itself? I do not. And I used to use Pledge. Back then it was called Future, but I used to use that when I first started as a clear coat, and the only issues that I've ever had with that is it has yellowed over time. That is the one downside, and mind you, my models have never been in direct sunlight, and they've kind of been in you know, on a shelf, protected from other elements and stuff too. You know, they've been in, you know, obviously an air-conditioned environment as well. So Pledge, you know, some people really like it. I'm just not of that opinion. So, you know, use it at your own risk. Now, I should say this, and I must admit this, that I very well could have gotten a bad bottle. I very well could have applied it incorrectly. Mind you, this was back when I first started modeling and things, so there are those chances. Now, based on what I remember, and based on what I know now, I don't think that I did. But the chances are there. I can't say with a definitive yes or no that you know, that I was not at fault for that yellowing. Now, this has been over the course of maybe, you know, 8-10 years. Doesn't do it right away. Makes it look nice. But yeah, I've definitely noticed some yellowing over the years on some of my earlier models. So keep that in mind. But in terms of your decal issue, that's a conundrum. Word of the day, conundrum. Look it up. But you know, I don't know. Me personally, this is what I do. I use Mr. Super Clear in the can, and what I do is I decant it. Now, you'll get a pretty nice yield from the can when you decant it. And decanting is not hard, guys. Basically, you just take the nozzle that's on the can, the little cap nozzle, just pop that off, and then what I like to do is take a drinking straw, just a little bendy drinking straw, and pop that on the little piece. It's actually almost like a perfect size for that straw, and then put a little hot glue around that. Just make sure it doesn't get to blocking the nozzle on the inside. But then once you have that, and once that straw is nice and secure on there, you pop that back onto the spray can. You get a jar that's big enough to accept the amount of spray. I like to use like a 2-ounce container. So I don't have any readily available to show you, or else I would. Yeah. No. Sorry, guys. Well, actually, okay, so this is just a bottle of Mr. Surfacer, and this is kind of about maybe about 2 ounces. So maybe something this size. Put the little bendy straw in here, and what I like to do is put maybe some paper towel around here with like a rubber band, so the fumes don't escape and go nasty, and kind of get you high, so you fail a drug test. That would be bad. So then you just kind of hold down that spray thing. That will come out and go into the straw, and then boom, deposit into that jar. Now, what you're going to have to do, once all of that is into the jar, there's still going to be a little bit left in the can because that propellant is now expelled. So what I like to do is take an old school, rotary handheld can opener and just crack that can open. Now, it's not going to go crazy or anything like that. It's not going to explode in your face, hopefully, because you've already expelled all of the propellant out of there. So it might go just a little bit, but nothing really crazy. Just pour that last little bit out of the can into your jar. Let that jar sit open. You don't want to put the cap on there. You want to let it sit open for about 3 or 4 hours, so the leftover propellant that's still mixed into the product, so it can dissipate and basically just degas. So that's what you want to do. Then after that, it's ready for airbrush use. Maybe throw in a little bit of Mr. Leveling Thinner just to be on the safe side, to make it nice and crispy smooth. And man, you've got a clear coat of champions, guys. So that's what I use. That's what I recommend. I did it. I've sprayed that on the Hummingbird, the Aussie, the Gundam version Logic, all of the little bears that I've done, the Blue Destiny, of course. All of those have Mr. Super Clear, both gloss for the decals and panel lines, and then matte at the very end for the final top coat. So high quality stuff, that's what I recommend. So there you go. Michael Gilchrist says cap of Mr. Super Clear has a hole in it to stick top of can into decanting into the cap. Yeah, exactly. So it's really convenient. It's almost like it was made for a straw, almost made to decant, which is kind of a cool thing. Michael Gilchrist also says, any yellowing when you use Mr. Super Clear non-UV cut? Not that I have seen thus far. The Hummingbird was kind of the first one that I really went all out with that particular product. And no, I mean, I haven't seen any yellowing over time thus far. That's been at least 2 years. So, Mr. Mr. Super Clear is such a high quality clear coat anyway, that I would be doubtful if it yellows anytime soon, just because of just how top notch Mr. Color products are, so that's my feeling anyways. Flynnberger, Craig Flynn is over there on YouTube. What's up, Craig? Good to see you, sir. Bailey says, be careful if you're painting with water-based acrylics, though. Mr. Super Clear is lacquer-based and will eat through acrylic paints. That is a very good tip. That is a definite. I always use solvent-based products anyway, so my painting system is pretty much bulletproof at that point in terms of any mixing or hotness or anything like that. So, but it is a good call for those of you that maybe use like Vallejo or straight kind of Tamiya paint and stuff like that. That's a very good call because those could react badly if they're not fully cured by the time you spray Mr. Super Clear. But the really cool thing is that if you guys use Tamiya, one of these little guys, you can actually mix Tamiya paints with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. I know, some of you right now are going, I do it all the time. The Blue Destiny, all of the bears that I've done, and the Gundenberg's Logic. Jason PS3, thank you for the subscribe on YouTube there, buddy. Thank you for watching as well. I really appreciate that. But yes, you can mix Mr. Color Leveling Thinner with Tamiya paints. And you can make what is basically known as a pseudo lacquer. Now, what is a pseudo lacquer? Basically, it's still an alcohol-based kind of acrylic, and the Mr. Color Leveling Thinner almost imbues properties of Mr. Color, paints. So what that gets you is the smoothness and the colors of Tamiya, but also the durability, dry time, and also the extra smoothness of the Mr. Color Leveling Thinner. The Tamiya acrylics, they cure in about an hour, which if you're spraying just regular Tamiya acrylics, you know you got to leave those overnight, at least 8 hours to dry to the touch. 1 hour, then you can go to town and spray another layer of paint on top of that. Amazing. And this is the cool part. You can use both Mr. Color and Tamiya thinned with Mr. Leveling Thinner on the same model. I've done it before. I've actually sprayed Mr. Color paints over top of Tamiya thinned with Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, and it works perfectly. It's amazing. So if you guys aren't doing that, man, do that right now. Go get yourself a bottle of Mr. Color Leveling Thinner, mix it with all of your Tamiya paints, and have a happy life. That's what I say. So Saravan Zero, he's over there on Twitch. Thank you for watching, Zorvan, and welcome as always. He says, Mr. Leveling Thinner works with almost everything. It's made out of magic. Dude, it really is. There are some things that it does not work with. Vallejo being one of them. It does something about it. You can mix it, and it will mix properly, and it will spray beautifully, and it will lay down amazingly. There's no durability to it. Nothing. If you breathe on it, it'll scratch. And I've tested this multiple times. And same thing with Model Masters acrylics and stuff like that. Those two just for some reason, that magic just doesn't cook in, unfortunately. So yeah, those are two to stay away from. But Tamiya, man, it works amazingly. Shar Asnable's over on YouTube. Wow, I didn't know we had the red comet over here watching us. Wow, that's awesome. Hey, thanks for watching. Oh, Chad Asnable. Damn it, I read it wrong. Chad, thank you for watching, buddy. Appreciate it. Bailey says, yeah, it's magic. It is magic. Mr. Leveling Thinner is great. Tamiya enamels or acrylics? Acrylics, yes. You do not ever, ever, ever want to mix a solvent like Mr. Leveling Thinner with enamel, because then you'll just go crazy. It'll be bad. It'll be bad. Tamiya acrylics, which is really a type of lacquer already. Sort of, but not really. So this is a great topic to touch on real quick. Let's switch back to camera one because I think just talking to you through camera one is a little bit easier. So to me, acrylics are somewhat unique in their composition. First and foremost, lacquer, as we know it, acrylics are not really lacquer-based. They're solvent-based acrylics. They're still acrylic paints, but they have a solvent-based carrier. So that's where we generalize those paints as lacquers. Now, Tamiya is kind of a special weird mix, kind of that in between water-based and solvent-based acrylics. They are actually alcohol-based. So that's why if you see the Tamiya, their thinner, that is actually mostly alcohol mixed with some other chemicals to help level it, smooth it out, you know, basically secret sauce type of chemicals. So by mixing Mr. Leveling Thinner with the Tamiya acrylic, since it's already kind of almost to that solvent-based level already, man, you just get such a good mix, and it's such super smooth paint once you shoot it out. It's really top-notch stuff. So good call, guys. Chad Asnimal says, what ratio do you recommend when mixing leveling thinner with Tamiya? Great question. You know, this is kind of the timeless question when it comes to painting and thinning and mixing paints, stuff like that. Every color will have its own unique mixing ratio. And I know that's a kind of a cop-out answer, but listen to me. When you're mixing, say, a dark color like a black or like a navy blue or something like that, you need one kind of mixing ratio. But then if you are mixing a lighter color like yellow or white, you're going to need an entire different mixing ratio, the white especially. I don't care what brand it is, guys. That white paint is going to need more thinner per volume than any other color. It's true with Mr. Color. It's true with Tamiya acrylics. It's true just across the board. So what I like to do, and this is kind of a generality, is thin it down to where it looks kind of between maybe like a 2% milk or a skim milk. You want it thin, but not too thin. One of the things that I really like to do is in the mixing jar, if you're thinning and if you shake it up and turn it, you do want the paint to stick a little bit to the side of the jar. Not crazy amount, but you want some stick, you want some adhesion to the side of the jar. Once you see that happening, and then, you know, it kind of gets clear, and if you visually look at the mix, and it has that kind of consistency of like skim milk, you're almost there. You're almost dialed in. Test spray it on maybe like a spoon or something like that first, but once you get it dialed in, you'll start to understand where each individual color needs to be sprayed properly. So great question, that. Suravan, yeah, not acrylics, but it does work perfectly with Model Master enamel. What, Mr. Leveling Thinner? I've never tried it with Model Master's enamel. I would think that would make a mess. I don't know. I've never tried it, so I can't say yes or no to it. So, interesting. Matthew JJL over there on Twitch, thank you for watching, by the way. He says, just curious, Tim, do you thin as you're about to airbrush, or do you pre-thin? Good question. It depends. Sometimes I do pre-thin. Other times I don't. Sometimes I thin it right before I spray. It really doesn't matter, because if you're using the paint, and if you cap it appropriately after you use it, then there's not really too much danger of evaporation and you know, dissipation of that thinner. And if you do get that, then just add a little bit more, bring it back to life, and then you're good to go. So yeah, it's all about personal preference when you thin. So let's see. Bailey says you also tend to need mostly thinner for metallics. Dude, yes. Okay, so great example, and I'm going to show you why you are preaching the truth. Because I really love all clad metallics, especially their copper. Their copper, oh, it's one of my favorite colors. It's amazing. It's like a deep, smooth, nice copper. It's just, it's awesome looking. So the ratio, no, that's a bad example. Let's get another one here that's almost full. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna switch you back over to camera 2 here real quick so I can get you zoomed in and show you what I'm talking about. So this here is my little jar of, let's see. No, okay, let's switch you back over to camera 1, and this is not gonna work. Okay, so let's see here. Let's turn it around. There we go. All right, so right here is all the paint pigment settled to the bottom, right? And then all the way up to about there, that's your thinner, that's your carrier in that. So yeah, you need a ton of thinner to thin metallics appropriately and properly. So absolutely, Bailey, good call. Very good call. Jacob Lou, gotta go to bed, thanks. No, man, thank you for watching, Jacob. And thank you for that subscribe, too. That was awesome of you. Thank you, buddy. Chad Asenwell also has to go. Got to go, but appreciate the explanation. Thank you, Chad, for tuning in. Dark Kaiser said, are you good at hand painting, Tim? No, I'm not. I admit it. That is not something that I'm really a big fan of. I did it way back in the day when I first started, because number one, I didn't have an airbrush system or compressor or any of that stuff, and I was just getting in. I didn't know if how long I'd be in the hobby and all that. So I hand painted my first few models, but then I kind of took the leap and bought an airbrush setup, and I've never looked back. So yeah, I'm not really great at hand painting. I'm not an expert at it. But Dark Kaiser goes on to say, what's the ratio of thinner that you use for hand painting, Tamiya or Mr. Hobby? Ah, man, I don't know. Again, not being someone familiar with hand painting, any answer I give you would be a guess at this point. The person to check out is Lincoln Wright. He's an Australian modeler who is a really, really talented modeler. He used to actually have his works in the old school Hobby Japans and Dengeki hobbies and stuff like that back in the early 2000s, back in the golden ages of Japan hobby mags and stuff. And so what he does is he makes amazing Mecha models and things like that. He does Star Wars models and all that good stuff. But man, he is a super talented artist, and he's got a website, Paint on Plastic, and then he's also got his own Facebook group and stuff like that. He's got a YouTube channel, which is very informative, especially for hand brushing type folks. You may want to check him out because he's got some amazing tips on there on how to properly hand paint with those types of paints. So man, yeah, check Lincoln Wright out. He was on Gunpla Talk a couple months ago, and man, what a good guy, man. What just an absolute talent. So yeah, for hand painting, I would defer to Lincoln Wright. So that would be my source to go to. GamerBud says, I'm going to be hand painting. I, on the other hand, don't have experience with an airbrush. I painted before in the past, just never with model kits. Cool. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's where I started. Get your feet wet with hand painting first, and then if you really love the hobby, if you think that you're going to be in it for the long haul, then maybe take that plunge, save up your pennies, get a nice kind of entry level airbrush, and really, get to work. That's what I like. That's what gets me excited, is seeing people, progressing in the hobby. So, man, if that's what you want to do, man, go all for it. Let's see. Bailey, he says, surely you detail paint, hand brush and stuff. No, I don't. I do not. I airbrush everything, even the little teeny tiniest pieces. My reasoning is because I want the same texture and finish throughout the model. I want that scale, that illusion of scale, to be consistent throughout the piece. So that's why I actually don't hand paint the little detail pieces, because I'm not confident enough in my own skill set when it comes to hand painting. I'm much more confident in my skill set when it comes to airbrushing and actually masking off those pieces. If you guys have seen the whip pictures of the Hummingbird, especially the inside of the leg boosters, you will see what kind of masochist I am when it comes to detail masking. Check that out. That was painful. It was a pain in the ass. But no, actually, I do not hand paint anything, not even details. So, good question. What are some good blades to use for masking or cutting decals? Great question. Again, NT Cutter is kind of one of my newer favorites. They are a little bit on the cheaper side, and also Olfa hobby art knives are really, really good, and that's from Jason PS3 over there on Twitch. So thank you for that question, Jason, and thank you for tuning in. That was awesome too. Paint on Plastic YouTube channel. Yes, 01 Shield, you are absolutely correct. That is Lincoln Wright's YouTube channel. Go sub to that. That's a really good subscribe if you guys have not done that already. George over there on YouTube says, I don't usually hand paint that much, but if you use Citadel painting pads, you can test your thinning ratio while hand painting. Would recommend those. Cool. Yeah, I think Lincoln uses like a homemade wet palette when he does painting and everything, and that seems to make the hand painting process a lot easier. Gamerbud says, yeah, eventually I will be airbrushing. I want to wait till I move from the place I am at and have more room to work with. Yeah, that's probably a good call, because you're going to need, at least a compressor, your airbrush, maybe a spray booth if you plan to paint inside. So those can take up, a considerable amount of space. Bailey says, good to know. I try to get away with airbrushing the smallest pieces too, but I've been dabbling in hand brushing deep in the Kolinsky sables now. I'm guessing those are a type of brush. Now you're kind of exploiting my lack of knowledge here. So I'm guessing the word sables, obviously sable brushes and everything. So I'm guessing that's a brand of paintbrush. So hey, they sound cool, so that's awesome. 01 Shield says, very nice hand painting tutorials and showcases a lot of varieties of paint. You are absolutely correct, sir. He does showcase a ton of different styles of paint. Let's really quickly check in and see what Facebook is up to. Let's see if anybody's over here. Let's see. Oh yeah, Robert's talking. Robert, man, I'm sorry to neglect you over here, but man, with this Facebook chat giving me all sorts of problems, I'm sorry. He was talking about football when we were. Man, that's cool, man. Sorry I couldn't get to those comments, dude. This Facebook is just killing me. You're killing me, Zuckerberg. You nerd. Sorry. Gamerbud says, Yeah, I'm watched Lincoln's YouTube page, and he is really good. The only thing is, he looks like my mother's ex. Sorry, man. That's not funny, but that's kind of funny reading it. Like he could be his doppelganger, so that's a little weird. Great guy though, dude. Yes, he is. He's awesome. Sorry, he looks like your mom's ex. That's I could see that being uncomfortable. That's a tough break, dude. And I'm sorry to laugh. I didn't mean to laugh at the situation. It just kind of struck me as humorous, reading it at the moment. So, wow. Moving on, because we need to transition out of that. Bailey says, I recommend many ammo paints if you want to do acrylics. I also recommend the enamel weathering products. Yeah, enamel products and oil-based products are really quite good for weathering and doing washes and things like that. MIG and ammo and all those different brands from that side of the world are, man, they're really good. I've seen what especially like miniature painters. I've seen what those guys can do with them, and man, those are just pieces of art. If you guys aren't familiar or haven't watched any of these mini figure painters, some of these really high level pro guys, man, they're painting like little Mona Lisas on the armor of some of these things. It's just crazy, So really cool stuff. All right, let's let me switch back over here so I can keep tabs there. All right, good. Let's get back to camera 2. Let's finish this out here because, man, we've had some good conversation already, man. It's 11:38. Where's the time gone? We're already an hour and almost 40 minutes into this thing, and, wanted to go maybe 2 hours or so tonight, maybe a little bit longer. Maybe we'll keep it going. But boom, there's our piece, right? Now we've got these these little raised panels that we want to try and knock down a little bit. So what I'm going to do first, there's a somewhat of a process to this. This right here, this is my Olfa chisel blade. Now this just fits into the regular Olfa handles, and I actually have 2 of these handles because they're amazing and they're very well balanced, and this knurled handle right here is great. So these are really awesome hobby knives. This right here is the chisel blade that you guys have probably seen me talk about and use and all that good stuff in some past tutorials, classes, and things. These are great to have, and this is a perfect time to use this blade. So what I do is I turn the blade upside down. The bevel of this blade, whoa, Flesh Peeler 45. Man, that is a wicked handle. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. Appreciate it, and thank you for watching. Flesh Peeler. It's pretty cool, though. I dig it. So, the bevel actually goes this way. It bevels this direction, right? So we're going to want this side riding on the plastic. We want the flat edge up. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold this right like this, and then we're just going to start to just kind of slice. And you see me how I'm going just kind of back and forth on this, and you do want to use just a little bit of pressure. And what this is going to do is it's going to use this surface, and as you can see, it doesn't really mar the surface too much. It's taken just a hairline scrape off of there because I don't think I was holding it quite correctly to begin with, but it looks a lot, wow, that actually looks a ton worse on camera than it does in real life. That is hardly noticeable, and that will sand out with hardly any effort whatsoever. So keep that in mind. That's not a big deal. So again, we're just going to kind of just shimmy back and forth a little bit, and we're just going to let the blade kind of do its work, slice off little pieces, and we're going to kind of move it around in several different directions. Now, this is just kind of step 1. This is kind of just to knock down the initial height of this. This is not to get it perfectly flush. This is not the tool to do that right now with these smaller pieces. Now, if this was a larger piece with maybe a thinner edge or something like that, then maybe. then maybe. But right now, I'm just trying to knock down the initial height of this to get it into a close enough height to where I can sand this safely, and kind of get it really nice and flush with the rest of the piece. And as you can see, look, I'm just kind of going back and forth, kind of like a meat slicer, or like a kitchen knife. You just want to kind of go back and forth and almost saw at it a little bit. So yeah, see that now that I've taken that initial level off, this actually feels a lot better. You can still feel with the tip of your finger that there are some raised pieces there. So kind of step 2 in this is I like to pull out the little jeweler's file. Now this is not a diamond file. Diamond files are different from jeweler's files. Keep that in mind, guys. These are actually miniature versions of like a full-sized file, like a bastard file or a flat file. Same thing. That's the proper name, bastard file, actually. This is just a miniaturized version of that. So this actually has filing teeth on it that do collect gunk and dust and everything that you do have to clean out from time to time. But a diamond file is just basically a piece of metal coated with kind of a diamond level abrasive. It's almost like a very hard sandpaper almost. So I like these better because these remove a bit more material for what they are. So keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do is, again, just kind of just start to level these pieces off. And we're going to use the surface of this piece because you're not taking too much off. If you keep your file nice and straight, and you can look at it from the side and kind of tell when it's starting to bow backwards and forwards, you'll be able to tell when you've knocked off a good amount of plastic on there and then when to kind of hold back and stop. Okay, that's starting to look really quite nice, and we've not taken off sort of any material from the surrounding piece. So now we're going to just kind of go back and forth on these two pieces, just like this. Really just kind of go to work and flatten this out and feather the piece out. Cool. Now, if you do start to take off just a little bit of material around the part, it's not really a big deal because you want to feather these edges out. So now that this is knocked down an even better amount, and just for feel, I can hardly tell that anything's there. But to be on the safe side, we are going to take a sanding block. This is just my little acrylic sanding block from Hobby Mate that I got with a book, and we're just going to kind of sand that flush now, and we're going to sand the whole front of this piece so that it's nice, flat, even, and you're never going to tell that these pieces are inserted once this thing is primed and painted. So we're going to vary up the sanding direction. Whoop, I'm off the screen there. Sorry about that, guys. So there we are. That's starting to look pretty good. Starting to look really quite nice. And now we're going to switch it up, go in this direction here. And we're going to vary our pressure directionally a little bit because there was less sanding going on this side of the piece than I had on this side of the piece. So I'm directionally putting pressure on this side of the block a little bit here to compensate and to flatten that out a little bit more. And then also on the back, where the inserts, where we put those inserts are, that was a little bit of little wanting in terms of sanding as well. But man, that right there is almost where we want to be. That is just baby butt smooth. Like I can't even catch a nail on those transitions right now. But I do see some space there that has not been sanded appropriately. So we're going to put a little bit of extra pressure on the back of the top of this piece and really kind of work that with the sanding block. And then there we go. Now that is really quite smooth. All right, so now last thing we're going to do is just going to quickly rotational, just go in little circles, and we're just going to rotational sand this piece with the sanding block and just try to knock down some of those sanding sanding scars and scratches and things. Now, that was a pretty coarse piece of sandpaper. That was probably 600-800 or something like that. We're going to come back with this. This is a lot smoother, and we're going to kick this down and start to smooth this out. Looking good so far. And you just want to follow the surface, you know? We're just sanding in the level of the surface piece, and we're letting basically the model shape, the shape of the part, kind of tell us how we're sanding and things. Let's see, Dark Kaiser 99 over there on Twitch. Even though the time goes, well, at least we have a great conversation. You are absolutely correct. We do have a wonderful conversation here on the Child of Mecha live stream. I enjoy it thoroughly. You guys are beasts when it comes to the chat. It's awesome. Let's check over there on Facebook. Let's see what everybody's doing over there. Anybody new? Anybody doing that? Anybody on it? No, not really. I think they're very quiet over there. I think they're shy on Facebook. Could be wrong, though. It could just be not working for me. So if you guys are on Facebook right now, and if you're commenting and everything, and I'm not seeing it, sorry. Go get Zuck. Anyway, 01 Shield says, out of curiosity, how often do you have to tighten the blade holder? I might need to get some better handles. Not very often at all, honestly. You know, you ratchet these down hand tight, and they're perfect. I don't have any sort of blade slippage or anything like that. Bailey says the Tamiya knives and small hobby saw are rebanded Olfa knives. That's correct. That's absolutely correct. Completely compatible. Perhaps not worth the upcharge of the Tamiya branding. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, dude. I would never probably buy the Tamiya branded knife. The Olfa is perfect. And the cool thing about Olfa is that you can get Olfa products here in the US. You can get them on Amazon, the hobby knife, the chisel blade, all of the stuff that I use, I can get on Amazon. And they also carry some of the stuff in Lowe's hardware stores as well, kind of in the utility knife section. I know they have the hobby knife and utility knife in those aisles. So if you happen to live around a Lowe's, and if you want a really good, nice hobby knife at a very respectable price, check out Lowe's, or even better, hit the Amazon link under the description. Tamiya knife is $6 to the $13 on Amazon. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Flesh Peeler 45, the Jesta is one of my bucket list kits. Hopefully I'll get into that one day. Dude, it's a great kit. You should get it. You should definitely get it. Need to replace my Tamiya basic file set as well. Yeah, 01 Shield, absolutely. Check out the link under the YouTube description, or in the YouTube description below, and there's an Amazon link that I've sourced a ton of different products, and the needle files are actually one of them. So check that out. GamerBud says, yeah, I can say I'm learning a lot. That's awesome, dude. I love that. Cobalt handle. Oh, 01 Shield says cobalt handle loosens a lot. Yeah. I've never tried the cobalt handle, so I can't say 100%, but if that's what you're experiencing, yeah, I think it's time to move on. Let's see. Cuckoo 305-S over there on Twitch, thank you for watching. He says, hello, great stream. Great, I can't even speak right now. Great stream. Do you make tutorials? Yes. Yes, I do. For right now, written tutorials only, and then, of course, the information that I convey to you all on the live stream. But yes, video tutorials are definitely in the works, so keep an eye out for that. Those will be cool. Michaels is selling Olfa now. Oh, really? I have not seen that. That's pretty cool to know. That's awesome. Thanks for the recommend. William Wilms, great supporter of mine. Always price compare with numerous sites. I go from Gundam Planet to USA Gundam Store to Amazon and HLJ. Whoever has the best price for the product I want wins the cash. That's a good call. That's a very, very good call. And that's a smart call because we should all be thrifty with our money nowadays, especially when it comes to models and things like that. Now, I'm personally of the mind where if you're getting into the hobby, you're going to go through kind of that honeymoon phase in this hobby, and you're going to buy up kits and all the kits that you want. Kits. You're going to be focused on kits, and that's perfectly normal, and that's cool, and that's what everybody does, and you'll amass a gigantic backlog. Don't neglect your tools, though. Get some good tools. The tools don't make the modeler, but better tools help the modeler. So keep that in mind too. So invest in good tools and use them appropriately, and you'll get some good results with them. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a little wet sanding on this piece. We're going to get it really nice and smooth. So this is off the camera. Good job there, buddy. This is just like around 400 wet sand, so that it actually equates to a much higher grit, given that it is, you know, using water and everything here too. So you're actually going to get a smoother surface now with wet sanding than what you would with dry sanding at a much higher grit. So we're going to dip that in the water, clean that dust off. Man, that's looking good. Let's get some higher grit sandpaper, and I just had it here somewhere. Where'd it go? Here it is. Now, you can see this piece has been through the ringer. I've folded this piece several times over and over and used this piece like crazy, but it's still hanging in, guys. It's still hanging in. It still sands really nice, and it still gives a nice smooth surface. So we are going to finish this piece off here with a nice high grit sandpaper wet sanding. Now, some of you will ask, why wet sand? Well, number one, it cuts down on dust that you might kick up from the piece. Number two, it gives you a much smoother surface than just dry sanding. And you're going to noticeably see and feel that when you touch it and when you especially go to paint. It's just going to be baby butt smooth. So now this thing is pretty much done. Let's get you zoomed in all the way here. I know it wasn't much of an increase, but there it is. Let's catch the light on it, and you can see kind of just how smooth that puppy is. And man, it just, yeah, baby butt smooth. Put a diaper on this thing, man, because that is just tender. So that's why I really love wet sanding. And that also obviously sanded out those little surface scars that we inadvertently did when we used the flat blade chisel on this. That just took them right out, like I said, that it would. Those were not nearly as bad in person as they looked on camera. So, you know, don't worry about the flat hobby knife. I know what I'm doing. Anyway, so because you guys are still going crazy in the chat. Let's see, Flesh Peeler 45. I'm still in all of that Ozymandias. Killer job on that, bud. No, man, thank you. That really means a lot. I love it when people appreciate my work, and it does mean a lot because I do put a lot of time and effort into my projects, and they do kind of come from the heart. So when people appreciate that, man, that makes me feel really good. So thank you for that compliment. I really like that. Gamer Bud says, I just bought 10 kits. Now I need to get more tools. Yeah, dude. normal progression, man. Normal progression in this hobby. You're going to go through that phase. You're going to collect the kits that you want. You're going to hoard those. And then as you start to build, you will kind of back off from buying kits, and then you'll start to focus on tools and things that will make the job easier for you. So that's natural progression. I've seen it, man, time and time again with new people in this hobby over the last 20 years. So you are just in the absolute perfect perfect phase right now, so don't feel bad about buying 10 kits. So that's you're good to go. So he says, yeah, still definitely in the honeymoon phase. Man, it's a good phase to be in, man. Your eyes are bright and full of wonder right now. Just hopefully you don't go into the divorce phase, because that's not a good thing. Bailey says, so you go up to a pretty high grit finish before spraying primer then? Usually, yes. Usually, probably around, at very least, 1,000 grit. And that's 1,000 grit wet, too, so that could be 2,000 dry. You know, depending on comparative smoothness. But yeah, I just like to get the surface pretty nice and smooth before I go to primer, because if you have a great foundation, meaning if you've done your surface prep appropriately, say that 3 times fast, then your primer will lay down amazingly. It will be super smooth, and it will retain all of the nice detail and crispy little edges and corners and things like that in there, and you'll just have an amazingly beautiful piece. So yeah, I go up pretty high, and I take surface prep very, very seriously, especially nowadays. I didn't used to, but man, it's very, very important. So yeah, definitely keep that in mind. Gamerbud says, sorry, don't mean to make that sound braggy. What he said just chimed in with me. So yeah, dude, no, you know what? I've gone crazy. I've splurged. I mean, you should see me, you know, when I made my first Taobao order. This is what happens when you get on Taobao for the first time. You buy a ton of metal detail parts because they're just so cheap on that site. So yeah, no, trust me, I am very familiar with the honeymoon phase, and there is absolutely no need for you to apologize. That is the natural progression of a modeler at this stage in the game. So feel good about that, dude, and enjoy those 10 models, man, because once you get those and you start cracking that box open and you start, you know, peeling the plastic wrap off those things, man, you're gonna be like a kid in a candy store, dude. It will be so much fun. And the reason why I know is because I still do it even today when I get a new kit. I'm like, oh my god, this kit is amazing. So dude, yeah, it's completely normal. So don't even sweat it, man. Don't even sweat it. Okay, so let's see, 11:59. 11:59. We're close to that 2-hour mark. Do I quit now or do I keep going? We keep going. Fuck it. Let's go. All right. So what we've got a nice smooth surface right here with our little inserts. So now this is a nice even piece, and you know, it's going to be solid. And when you primer that, it will look like one solid block of armor or metal or what have you. So real quick, I do want to just kind of make sure these sides are nice and flush, so that we'll just take the little file and just lightly file the edges here just to be on the safe side, and that looks good. We're going to do the same thing to the top, and if you were careful and really took your time and paid a lot of attention to the trimming of the plastic, then you really should not have to file hardly any of this off. But just to be on the safe side, I like to do it just as a precaution and just to even up any maybe uneven surfaces. You know what? I forgot. Let's zoom you back out just a hair. There we go. So now you can see what I'm doing, and the camera might actually focus in on what I'm doing instead of you seeing a blurry, bokeh blob. How about that? That would be fun, right? So that's looking good there. Let's switch it up. Let's go the other direction. Let's go in this direction here, and we're just going to just lightly file that. We're going to spin it back around. We're going to get a little deeper on the chisel here, or the file, I should say. Listen to me. I'm just going to smooth that out. Now it looks good. That looks really good. Now we're just going to do this last side here. We're going to call that done. This is not passing the fingernail test. This was not as smooth as I thought it would be. Now, when I say the fingernail test, if you can run your fingernail over a gap or a transition piece and not catch it on a lip or a dip in the plastic or what have you, then you can confidently say that that piece is pretty smooth and even. This side, before I sanded, did not pass the fingernail test. And let me put these down and see maybe why. I think I see why. Might not be trimmed flush just yet. It might just be down here at the bottom. Needs a little bit more coaxing there. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is the higher grit sanding block here, and I'm just going to lightly run over this a few passes, just really nice and smooth. Fingernail test again, and that actually passes this time. That passes the fingernail test. Yeah, that's good. I am happy with that. I am happy with that. So, let's show you the strapping technique, shall we? And then we'll end on that note, and we'll pick up on Friday. So that'll be fun. So let's see here. What we're going to do is we're going to add a strap to this. Now, I don't want anything crazy. I don't want anything thick, like a 1 millimeter strap. So I'm going to use 0.5 millimeter. This, I believe, is 0.5 millimeter. Let me get my digital calipers out here real quick and measure that just to be on the safe side. 0.50. Yep, that's good. And this should be 4 mil wide. Yep, 4 mil wide. Okay, cool. So we're going to kind of measure that up. And that looks pretty good. Let me see what this looks like here. Yeah, see, okay. So when you're coming up with a strap, at least for this piece, the problem areas are going to be this right here. This shit, you guys can't see that. Sorry about that. Whoop. Okay, so the problem areas are going to be this focus, man. There we go. Now you actually use the blade here, so it's a little bit easier to see. The problem areas are going to be right here, because this is the minimal width between this bevel point and then this bevel point over here. So that's going to be your thinnest width on this area when you're doing strapping. So we need to take our widths and kind of play off of that, the width of the strap itself. So let's measure this minimal width on the piece. That is 5. We're going to call that 5.5. 5.5 millimeters wide at the thinnest width on this particular top of the piece. So I think 4 millimeters is probably going to be appropriate. If we go any higher, the piece is going to look crowded. It's going to look a bit odd aesthetically. So we're going to use 4 mil. I think that will be fine. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we're going to do this front piece right here. And I don't want to go down too much. Maybe, well, you know what? Look at that. Let's measure this, because I think I just found something interesting here. This area right here, that's about 4.4. And I'm not all the way up at the top either. Yeah, that's about 4.4. Let me see what that looks like, because I might bring that all the way down if that matches up appropriately. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. All right, so once you have that all painted and primed, that would actually stick out and you'd be able to see that. So I'm not going to bring it all the way down. I'm just going to bring it down about halfway and then terminate it there. So what is that? Let's see what that measurement is. We're just kind of basically eyeball this here. We're going to bring this down maybe 8 millimeters. So I think that sounds like a good even number to bring that strap down. So what we want to do, excuse me, is to get the chopper involved. Let's zoom you back out so you can see the chopper in action. We're going to zoom about 35 millimeter zoom. I think that's good. And we're going to unlock the, that's centered on camera. There you go. We're going to unlock the stop block there. And we're going to grab our little Zona L square that we use for measuring. We're going to pop that under here, lift the blade up, and we're going to measure 9 millimeters. Actually, we'll go 10 millimeters, just to be on the safe side. Because you want that overhang, you want that 2 millimeter overhang so you can grip the piece with the tweezers so you can place it appropriately. And then it also gives you excess to trim to line up with the bevel of the top edge as well. So that's what I like to do when I'm adding strapping detail. So we're going to lock that stop block in, move that L square off to the side, and we're going to square up the tip of that piece, line that up with a stop block, and chop. So there's a 10 millimeter little plastic strip that we now have as the front of our strap. So we're going to use that. We're going to put that off to the side now. We're going to cut another one because we need another strap for the corresponding top of this piece. So just using another piece the same size, not a big deal. Nothing wrong with that. If anything, we're just going to be wasting just a little bit of plastic strip. So not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. So we're going to get this piece back involved over here. And what I like to do, excuse me, is to line this up with the top edge right there. We're going to move this all the way to one side, just like this. We're going to make sure that this T-square is square with the top edge. And now we're going to put our visor down and we're going to mark out 8 millimeter on this side. Just like that. You don't need anything crazy. You don't need a big giant mark, just something subtle where you can see that mark. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And what we're trying to get is a reference point for the bottom of our strap. So we can, once we install that, we can get it lined up appropriately. So we're just getting it square on the top of the bevel of that piece. And there is 8 millimeter right there. All right, so now we have 2 marks on each side. Now we're going to connect them with a pencil line. Just like that. All right, so now we're going to eyeball that for parallel. And you guys probably can't see this because, well, you might be able to see that when it catches the flash of the light. But that line now is pretty good looking parallel to the top edge of that piece. Okay, so that's basically step 1 of strapping, is measuring off where you want the first part of the strap to end on the piece itself. For the top edge, it's not going to really matter because it's going to run off the back and it's going to be fine. So with that, we're going to pull out our good friend, Mr. Tamiya Extra Thin here. We're going to use that instead of super glue today because that's the way I feel. we're gonna put that off to the side just for a second, and we are going to bevel this because I like the look of a beveled strap. So actually, we're gonna close up this extra thing. We're gonna pull the chopper back out, and I'm gonna show you how to make a sized bevel with the chopper, because this is actually a really good technique and a really good thing to know. So what we're gonna do. This chopper actually comes with 2 of these triangles here. Now this one is the 90-degree stop block that you will use most often. This one has a 45-degree angle and a 60-degree angle, and then this stop block also has a 30-degree angle on that side. So we're going to use our stop block, but we're going to flip it over to the 45-degree angle side. We're going to bring it all the way till it touches the blade in the down position. We're going to lock that in. Now, this side is where we need to do the work. So with this, what I want to do is, let's go with a 0.5 millimeter bevel. So to do that, you need to get a 45-degree bevel on one of these. What you need to do is measure the stop block a quarter, half of the width that you want to bevel from the actual cutting blade. And to do that, we are going to use a plastic strip because it's already calculated at a 1/4 millimeter already for us. So that just makes it easy. So I've got, do I have any over there? Maybe. What's this? If I have some over here on my scrap little edge here, that'll make it easier. What's this? So that might actually work really well. Measure with your calipers. Boom, 1/4 mil. All right, so we've got this little 1/4 millimeter scrap piece of strip, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to put this up against the blade here, standing up, mind you, and then we're going to, without it falling over, and this is a delicate process because your fingers are not going to fit under here easily. So that's standing up. Now we're going to push the stop block all the way over to it, lock that in. Now you have a 1/4 millimeter gap between this stop block and the cutting blade underneath this arm. So what we do then is to bring our piece onto the cutting surface along the 45, and we're going to push this up until the corner hits this side of the stop block. And it's going to basically wedge in there. And now, since this piece is on the smaller side, we do want to be careful so you don't cut the tip of your finger off. That would be a very unhappy experience for you. So we're going to chop that, and then now we're going to put that right there for you guys and zoom in so you can see. Look at that. Look at that little bevel. That little cute bevel. It's just a cute little guy. Cute little bevel. Look at that. That's a 0.5 millimeter bevel off of there, off the side, guys. And it's super subtle. And with using the chopper, it's absolutely repeatable now, too. So you will have 100% accuracy as long as you use the same type of setup. So let's pull this back out and get this back to 35 millimeter. But boom, there we go. What we're going to do now, we need to do the same thing to the other side. So we flip it over. And we do the exact same thing to that side. And make sure that you clear out any debris in that cutting area, because that could, with working in such small tolerances, that could mess up your cut very, very easily. So you're going to push that over and wedge that into place. You're going to be very careful not to cut off the tip of your finger. Chop. Pull this little guy out here. And now, zoom in. Look at that guy. Look at that. Perfectly beveled on both sides. Even Stevens, as they say. Let's see what these guys are doing. William Wilms at GamerBud. I got over 10 kits with the last Black Friday and the deals the websites were doing. I don't think my wife was happy with me. And are any wives happy with us when we go splurging on kits and tools? I don't think so. I know mine's not, but she understands and she supports me, so I guess I'm lucky in that respect. So that's cool. Bailey, man, I want to get a chopper too. It's on Amazon for a great price, but that's not something my wife would not notice. There's the wife again, man, crazy. Not like the model books I've been hoarding. That's cool. But yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just, the best thing to do. And this has been my experience, is either one, you either just do it and then beg for forgiveness afterwards, and just say, hey, honey, it's here. I mean, I just got to use it, I can't send it back, it would cost me more to send it back now. Then you deal with that backlash. Or, if your wife is recepting of this, then you know what? You say, honey, you know what? I want to buy this tool and I want it run by you first. This tool will absolutely help me out, and I will be, the best modeler in this house that I can ever be with this tool. This tool is amazing. That dude that does live streams, he uses it all the time and he does some pretty cool stuff with it. But man, I could really use it and it would be awesome. Do you mind if I get that? And you know what? If you talk to her real nice, maybe take her to dinner, maybe buy her presents, some roses or some flowers or something like that, I'm sure you'll be able to swing it. I'm sure. You guys are studs. You can do it. All right, so let's zoom this back out. This piece is pretty much cut and done. So now we got to install this piece. We're gonna put that off to the side there. We're gonna push the chopper out of the way. We're gonna bring everything back over here. So now we have our part, we have our piece. Let's get to gluing. But first, let me just double check this bevel, make sure everything is nice and square on this. And it looks pretty good. It could be a little bit more accurate. So what I think I might do is just run a couple passes of the sanding block over this just to make sure those bevels are nice and square to the piece. Just real gentle. Nothing crazy, because you don't want to take off any more plastic than you have to. You want that bevel to stay nice and even, but you want it to be square up and down on the height of the strip. Okay, cool, nice and square, still looking good, still measured up really quite nice. Bailey, all the best of luck, man. He says, I might try that. So, dude, I wish you the absolute best of luck. Let's see. Oh, look at there. There's Tim Kilburn. Yeah, I'm here, brother. Just busy drawing up plans for camouflage, but listening. Drawing up camouflage? Dude, you're a crazy man. That's awesome. All right, so let's grip this thing with our little bitty tweezers ratchet. And we're going to get our good friend Tamiya Extra Thin. And we're going to pop him open. We're going to apply some glue on the piece, not the part. Because we don't want splatter and nasty things going on with that. We're just going to grab it right up here at the top. You don't want a ton of space left over. And we're going to kick off a little bit of extra on there. We're going to kiss this with a little bit of glue. Just real nice and gentle, nice and even. Just to make sure to get that solvent activated. Now we got to move quick because that stuff dries quick because it's Tamiya Extra Thin. All right, now we're going to eyeball this just temporarily. And now we're going to screw that lid back on, put that Tamiya Extra Thin off to the side. Now we've got to get accurate on this thing. So we've got to do some measuring. We've got to make sure that this thing is centered appropriately. So we're going to measure over from the side using the insert as a guide. Now this is just under the 2 millimeter mark. If I line it up with that. And that, man, it just needs to be pushed over a hair. Just a hair. To make it even now. Sweet. Okay, now we're going to measure the bottom, where that bevel is at the bottom, and that's about 2.5 millimeters to the side of the piece. And this is exactly the same. So that now is pretty much perpendicular now on this piece. Looking pretty good. Let's zoom you in and so you can see. Boom! Look at that guy. Look at that guy. Look at that little guy. That little guy's awesome. I like that little guy. Looking good, right? Everybody like that? Cool. So, zoom you back out. Let's get into a good working zoom there. And what we're going to do, just like last time, and we're working quick, you probably would want to let this cure a little bit longer than what I'm doing right now. But I trust Mr. To me, extra thing. I trust it because I know it, worked with it. I know its capabilities in this. So we're going to do the same thing as we did with this piece. So we've got, you see, we've got a little bit of leftover here on the edge. Hopefully that will focus. Focus. There we go. See, you've got that little hangover there on the piece. So now we've just got to trim that off. We're just going to rough trim with the nippers first. Just zip that off there. And you want to try to get it as even as possible, and you still want a little bit over there, overhang on that. You don't want to try to take it all off with the nippers because you're just not going to get an absolutely clean cut. So you've just got a little bit on here. Now is a good time to pull out that little guy, right? Cha, little Mr. NT cutter, little hobby knife guy, and we're going to just trim this top overhang until it's matched up with the bevel really nice. Now, use your thumb to hold this piece and give it a little bit of support. You know what? I could probably take a little bit more off there with the nippers now that I look at it, because you don't want to try and take off too much plastic, but you want to take off enough to where it's going to be nice and level with it. So that, get the visor down better here. And that's looking good so far. We can take off maybe a little bit more on this side though. Sweet, that is looking good. So now we use our little NT cutter and we just kind of do that slicing kind of diagonal technique that I talked about before. And we just slowly trim back the piece. Now, when you get to the middle of the trim, into the middle of the piece, you want to flip it around, do it from the other side, because you don't want to blow out that that end side, that side opposite that you started on, because if you blow out that side, you're going to have to fill it, you're going to have to putty it or something like that, and it's going to be a pain, and then you just don't want to do that. Get it right the first time. That's what I'm saying. So we're going to flip this around. We're going to go from that opposite side. We're going to do that slicing action. Now, since this is a freshly glued piece, just support that piece a little bit with your finger. And you just want to go slow. You don't want to go fast because you can accidentally slip and cut off the tip of your finger. But man, this is looking pretty good so far. I think I did go a little bit overboard on trimming it, but that's not a big deal because we can absolutely fix that. All right. Okay, cool. So now, what I did by accident, and you know, even with the experience level that I have, I'm still, you know, I do still happen to make, you know, some mistakes here and there. So don't feel bad if you're not, you know, good at this initially. It's just all the will of the plastic. So what I did was I accidentally trimmed a bit too much there in the middle of the piece. So what I'm going to do is to take my sanding block and just sand off, just kind of smooth out the top of this piece, and hopefully that will level everything out and we'll give it a nice good look. Let's see. Oh yeah, looking much better, much better. And this is the coarse sanding block too, so we're going to go back over it with a smoother sanding block here in a moment to really even it out and make it really nice. But yeah, that's almost 100% perfect, and it still looks perpendicular to that piece, so that's looking good. I'm liking the progress so far. All right, so we're going to go back here with, this is the smoother sanding block that I have, and we're just going to switch it around and just go to work. circular motion just to get it nice and even all the way around, even pressure across the surface, and you are going to get a nice, deadly flat surface. Perfect. Perfect. Super psyched about it. Super psyched. All right, so now we've got the front piece installed. That's good to go. Now we've got this other piece that I cut earlier along with that first piece to strap it or wrap it over this corner here. So that's why I call it a strapping technique, because essentially what you're going to do is you're going to glue this in place here, and you're going to trim the front excess, you're going to trim the back excess, and then once that's trim and flush, it looks like an accent piece wrapping over the top corner of the part that you're applying it to. So really, really good stuff. William Wilms, he says he has the chopper too. Amazing product. I just keep forgetting that I do have it, and then I try my hand at scratch building. Thanks, Tim, for these videos that remind me that I have it. Man, have it right in front of you, man. You'll never forget that it's there. But hey, that's cool too. Glad I could remind you that that you got it. So let's see. Tweezers, tweezers, tweezers. Here they are. Here they are. What up, boys? There's Jimmy and from Gumplifixation, just joined us on YouTube. Man, Jimmy, you late, son. We're about wrapping it up here, buddy. Let's see what's going on there on good old YouTube. Asterix Mecha Builder gave us a thumbs up. He's from the Philippines. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. That's pretty awesome. I love those guys over in the Philippines. Man, there's some good modelers, dude. Got a lot of friends in the Philippines, man. I would love to go there one day, but man, it's expensive. Expensive. Traveling in general is expensive. Baby stuff, man. I know that feeling. Jimmy just had a baby, guys. A few months ago. Jimmy, or wait a minute, maybe a year ago. I don't know, a while ago. Let's put it that way. But man, congratulations, Jimmy. He's a father, probably a pretty damn good one too, if I am guessing. So he had priorities over and above the stream tonight that he had to handle, and I completely understand, dude. Completely understand. All right, so now we've got this piece glued up. Now we're gonna pop it on to the top. 4 months, 4 months old. Wow. I remember when my daughter was 4 months old, man. Those are rough times. Not a lot of sleep. High level of stress. Whew. Yeah, it's tough, man. Especially for your first one. First one's always the toughest. All right, so we're getting this eyeballed up. We are trying to get it parallel to the initially installed piece and make that perfectly even. This is the toughest part, guys, is to match up the orientation of the parts of the strap. That's going to be the toughest part. Jimmy, private message me here, making the sound blow up on the stream, dude. I will take a look at that here in a minute. Nice, nice. All right, so let's make sure that this is lined up appropriately. Let's do some measuring. We're going to go edge to bevel. It's about 1 millimeter, right on the mark. That's about the same. Let's do the top, because that's my worry right now, is the top. I don't know if that top is completely lined up. That is just over the 1 millimeter mark there. Wow. That's over the 1 millimeter mark there. So this is actually perfectly lined up right now. Amazing. I did not think that it was lined up properly, but let's make sure 2 pieces are looking good this way too. Yeah, that's looking good. Cool. All right, so what we do, now that this piece is installed, let's trim it. We're going to trim just a little bit off the back. Oop, just like that. We're going to leave just a little bit of overhang like we did with the first piece so we can trim it back with the hobby knife. And if we need to sand that flush, we're going to do the same thing to this front overhang here because there's some overhang there. We're going to do the same thing to that. And we're going to kind of angle your nippers up away from the piece, and that will give you a little bit more room. It'll give you that lip so that you can trim it with your knife, with your hobby knife. All right, so that's trimmed back. Now, let's try to take this off in a reasonable amount of time. Slice, slice, slice. Spin it around. Do it from the other side as well. Slice, slice, slice. Oh yeah. There we go. So that's looking pretty good. It's going to need a little bit of extra love and attention here. I'm just going to go over it one more time. One more pass with the little cutter, NT cutter here. Good deal there. That's looking really nice. Now we're going to do the back. We're going to trim this back off a little bit. We're just going to do that slicing action that I talked about earlier. We're going to stop just before we hit that other side, and we are going to cut on the other side to avoid blowout. And there we go. We are trimmed up on both sides. Now, obviously, this is not going to be perfect the first time, so you do have to go back in and clean it up. So for me, what I'm going to do is take the fine grit sanding block here and just kind of run it over the front strap to basically marry up those two pieces up front. And so that is a nice smooth gap. That is not smooth just yet. To get some grit in there, apply some pressure, and now that's almost there. That's almost there. Let's take the coarse grit to it real quick. Let's knock some sense into this thing and really get it flush. But I think what happened, I think this top strap moved on me a little bit. It migrated just a bit. And there's a dip on this side here that I can see. Let's see here. Woo! Let's see. Jimmy, looking at the chat, Jimmy says, Gunpla Fixation says, sometimes I sleep on Gunpla, but I'm so tired, I'm like, fuck it, I need sleep. Nice. Or sleep or Gunpla. Yeah. That's kind of the ongoing fight there. Oh, hey, man, Gunpla Paul's in the chat. Welcome, Gunpla Paul. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it. He says, first 6 months are rough on sleep. It gets better, I promise. Or maybe you just get used to it. It's true. That's very true. Very, very true. All right. So let's get back to sanding this little guy here. This little strap. And we're going to apply a little bit of directional pressure on this side where it's just not as even as I would like. That seems to be looking really quite good. We're just going to maybe just apply a little bit more on the back end of it. And we're just going to continue to just kind of fine tune this, man. Just continue to work it down, making sure it's even on all sides and making sure that it's flush. Now, ideally, you want to let this glue dry and cure appropriately before you start finishing these pieces off. I'm going very, very quickly for demo purposes, for you guys, so you can see this technique and, from start to finish. But, ideally, you want to let this glue dry, and that way you're going to have, solid pieces to sand and trim, and you're going to get these things nice and flush and even, and you're never going to be able to tell that this is two pieces of plastic glued together. Okay, so that looks pretty good, man. Let's get you zoomed in. Let's take a look at this buddy. There we go. Look at that little guy. Look at that. So now on this piece, let's get a comparable piece here so you can see where we started and kind of where we ended up. So, all right, so there is the stock Jesta piece, the stock Jesta knee, and there is our modified piece. So you can see our inserts in these two little indents there, and you can see our strapping technique that we applied to that, and that looks pretty good. That's a really good start to this this knee armor. I like how it looks. I like how it looks. We're going to add maybe some other kind of details. We're not going to leave it here. We're going to do some other prettying up on this probably on the next stream. So that's where we're going to leave it for tonight, guys. I think we made some decent progress in 2 hours, aside from obviously our conversations, the show and tell about the Border Break artworks book and everything like that. So overall, I think it was a successful stream. Let's switch it back over to one camera so I can finish up and talk to you guys and say proper salutations. Let's see what here. GamerBud, so many shapes. Yeah, shapes. This thing is full of different shapes. Yes. Let's see. GamerBuds also says, damn, still didn't think I'd be drawing this GM sniper. Jason PS3, how difficult is it to duplicate it? Well, for me, what I do is I modify one side of the model first, and then I duplicate it on the other side, and I can then take measurements from the modified side and basically duplicate those on the other side. So you can also do the same thing on both sides at once. You cut exact same sized pieces, and you know, it's fairly easy if you're careful and if you take your time and if you show proper attention to detail. It's not, these types of techniques are not really all that hard. You know, somebody that's, you know, slowly getting into customizing of a, you know, somewhat advanced beginner or moderate level builder, they can tackle these types of modifications pretty easily. So great question, that. Great question. Now, scribing is a little bit of a different topic when it comes to duplication. There are some techniques that you can use. You can create a template out of very thin plastic sheet. I've seen a lot of guys do that, and I've actually done that in the past. That works very well, especially if on like a flat piece. But if it's curved, that's a little bit of a harder thing to pull off. You may need to use multiple stencils at that point, or what I really like to do is measure off of reference points on the piece. So if you measure in, say, 2 millimeters from a beveled point, and then say 5 millimeters up, you have a reference point, or, you know, based on a gap or another panel line that's there. Go off of reference points, because those are actually very, very accurate as well. So duplicating scribing is a little bit more difficult, but again, attention to detail, that's going to be your biggest asset when it comes to duplicating scribed panel lines and notches and things like that. So great question, guys. Great question. All right, so let's do one last check-in here with the folks over on Facebook. Man, those guys are quiet. Nothing new over there. Good, good, good. Maybe the chat's broken. I don't know. Maybe it broke after the last check-in with those guys. I guess we'll see later, won't we? All right, so guys, thank you for watching. I appreciate it as always. Thank you for the new subscribes, the new follows, maybe even the new likes on Facebook. I really do appreciate every single one of you that stopped by and hung out. Man, all you cool ass dudes in the chat, thank you for talking and chatting and everything. That's really cool too. And we always have a great conversation on this thing. Bailey says, amateur scriber here, but I try to make replicatable, hopefully, measurements and stuff. So yeah, dude, that's really all that it is. It's just, you know, measuring points in space. So, but all right, guys. So let's wrap this up here. We did some good little work on the Jesta knee. We showed you the border break. Border break books and all that. Oh, look, Krosama's in here. Hey, brother, seems I came late. Yeah, dude, just a little bit. We're about wrapping it up here, man. Oh, man, GamerBud, you're awesome. No joke. New favorite stream. Oh, thank you, dude. Thank you. Everybody's saying thank you, man. No, thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. This is awesome. I'm the reaction that I'm getting from you guys has been like overwhelmingly positive. Focus, camera, you stupid shit. But man, this has been an awesome experience, and man, hopefully it gets better from here, man. You know, we have a short time. I work slow, but I hopefully am showing you cool things that you can apply to your model. And if you do want to, man, just go back, watch the replay, and watch me do it all over again. If you guys have any questions, send them to me. childofmecha.com. You can email me on there or catch me on Facebook or Instagram or what have you. Shoot me the questions, guys. If you guys got questions, I'll be happy to answer them. So, again, if you guys are interested in any of the tools that I used on here, most of them are going to be available on the Amazon link just below in the description on Facebook and on YouTube, and then later after the stream on Twitch. So check those out. Also, the book that I showed tonight, Border Break Artworks, that's also in that link, as well as some other very inspirational mech robotic types of books. Some really good pickups in there. So definitely check that out. Get what you need and make your lives better and easier with those things. Also, if you want this 90s inspired Gundam shirt, this awesome thing, this is the Washington version, by the way, and I named each shirt after a city that has the corresponding colors for their football teams, sports teams, and things like that. Then this is going to be the one for you. So this is the Washington color. I've got, I think, 9 different colors in the shirts and several different colors in the hats. Those are awesome too. They look very 90s, very retro. You'll be an amazing looking modeler wearing one of those things. Check them out on the Child of Mecha store. You can find that on childofmecha.com. And we got some really cool stuff over there. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. So thank you again, guys, for watching. As always, we're going to pick this back up on Friday, same time as tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. We're going to go for another 2 hours on Friday, and maybe there might be some bonus time on Saturday and Sunday. I don't know. We're going to just kind of see how I feel on the weekend, but I'm not promising anything. Definitely Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 12 p.m. Is going to be the new schedule. So mark that on your calendars. Make sure you're free. I don't care if you have to work. Just call in sick. The boss will understand. And check the Child of Mecha stream. And as always, if you think people could possibly benefit from this stream, why don't you go and share it? Look at that. Lil Taysons. He says, you're bad at real life. That's cool. That's a nice thing to say, isn't it? Thank you, Lil Taysons. It's an interesting name. Are you a mumble rapper? Maybe. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, share the stream and subscribe, and we'll see you on Friday. So, with that being said, thank you for watching. See you next time.